If I can ask you, were there any discussions on Aungsansuhkyi, what is happening with her, and the democratic principles, what's happening to democracy there? Thank you so much.
Question related to Aungsansuhkyi. Let me say that the Prime Minister did raise this matter with the President.
By Foreign Secretary. Special press briefing. He is joined by our ambassador to Myanmar, Shri Abhay Thakur, as also by Shri B. Shyam, Joint Secretary, BM in the Ministry of External Affairs. With that, I hand over the floor to Foreign Secretary for his initial remarks. Sir.
Thank you, Randir. Thank you all for joining this afternoon. India also happens to be the first country that the Myanmar president is visiting since he assumed office as president in April 2026. And Myanmar is an important country. It's a neighbor with whom we share a border of 1,643 kilometers. It sits at the confluence of India's neighborhood first Act East as well as Mahasagar and Indo-Pacific policies. This morning, the Prime Minister and the President of Myanmar held detailed talks on the entire gamut of bilateral issues, which covered our trade and economic ties, our defense and security related issues, border management, development assistance, cultural exchanges, as well as the regional situation. So let me stop there. We don't have a whole lot of time available, but I would be happy to answer a few questions in the time that is available. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We now open the floor for questions. We'll begin with Nanima. Yeah.
Nanima Basu, independent journalist. Thank you for doing this. Foreign Secretary, if I can ask you, were there any discussions on Aungsansuhkyi, what is happening with her, and the democratic principles, what's happening to democracy there? Thank you so much.
Siddhant.
Hi, sir. Siddhant from Beyond. So you mentioned about defense cooperation. What is the defense cooperation which we're looking at between India and Myanmar?
Ayushi.
Sir, good afternoon. This is Ayushi Agarwal from ANI. So was there any discussion on enhancing economic cooperation in critical minerals and rare earths, like India exploring access to Myanmar's rare earth resources? And second, sir, did cyber scam networks and trafficking of Indian nationals feature in the talks between the two leaders? And has India sought stronger cooperation from Myanmar to crack down on such operations? Thank you.
Shruti, you have a question? Yeah, please.
Sir, you just spoke about the Kawlgam project and also the trilateral highway. If you could give us an understanding where it is and what kind of promises or assurances Myanmar has extended, because these projects are stalled, that is what we understand.
Keshav, you have a question? Please.
Thank you, Foreign Secretary. Keshav Padmanabhan from The Print. Just wanted to, were there any discussions on the internal security situation in Myanmar and what has sort of India reiterated? I know in the past it has supported a Myanmar-led solution. So what was sort of the discussions between the two leaders on the current situation in the country?
So we can take these questions.
Okay. Nanima, your question related to Aungsansuhkyi. Let me say that the Prime Minister did raise this matter with the President, and this was a discussion that was largely in the context of the peace process that is or has been underway in Myanmar for quite some time. The effort to bring in all the ethnic groups onto the same platform and find a way forward within a united Myanmar. This is something that you are aware has been going on for a long period of time. There isn't yet a final agreement between all stakeholders. And in the context of the points that the Prime Minister was making on the need for, as Myanmar finds its way back towards democracy, the need for an enduring peace in the country, the need for inclusion, the need to have all stakeholders at the table, and to examine the points of views of all the interlocutors who have been part of this process over a long period of time. So that essentially, it was a bit of a freewheeling discussion on that issue, and that is where issues related to democracy, etc., were also raised. I should underline that, our engagement with Myanmar is not intended to be a commentary on the internal political arrangements in that country. We have always proceeded on the principle that sustained dialogue is what is important and what is an imperative for India as a neighbor. And the answer is clearly not disengagement. History has shown that disengagement doesn't give us any results that are better than engagement, and it certainly doesn't produce democratic change if that is what we are interested in. On the other hand, disengagement only produces a vacuum that others go on to fill then to our detriment. And those others have no interest in democracy, I can assure you about that. So we have consistently engaged, and while engaging, we have always put forward our thoughts on all of these issues related to democracy, related to the peace process, related to inclusion, and to the absolute importance of having all stakeholders as part of the dialogue at the table. Siddhant, on your question related to defense cooperation, this is something that has been in focus for several years now. And mostly the defense cooperation with Myanmar focuses on training, on capacity building, on institution building. And a very important part of the training is in the context also of UN peacekeeping. So we have been training Myanmar troops in the tasks of UN peacekeeping. And obviously, as I mentioned earlier, we have a 1,643 kilometer long border. There are important defense and security related interests in the context of that border, and that is also something that gets discussed when various mechanisms related to defense cooperation get together. Ayushi, your question related to economic cooperation. Yes, issues related to critical minerals and rare earths did come up during the discussions today. This is something that has been a subject of bilateral discussions for some time. And today as well, there was an understanding that the two governments and the entities from the two countries would continue to stay in touch, remain in touch on these issues, and take forward cooperation in these areas.